Welcome fine folks to our next video. I'm out here in Hancock, Maine, walking down the street. See that street right back there behind me? It's the same street that Gage Creed got ran over by one of those big Orenco Mack trucks. So I'm hoping not to duplicate that scene myself, so I'm staying over to the side of the road, but let's go. We're here to do some Pet Sematary locations. The 1989 Stephen King film.
You wouldn't be trying to go down that road, would ya? That road leads to a dark and mysterious land where people go missing and no one ever hears from them again. If I were you, I wouldn't go down that road.
3, 2, 1.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Has anyone ever buried a person up there?
Daddy's gonna do something really bad.
Sometimes that is better.
If it doesn't work, I'll just put him back.
Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
Now before you see the house, you're going to see one of those big Mack trucks coming down that road. See how it kind of turns to the right? So I can see how people can get hit. Animals, people get hit coming down this road, but yeah, you're going to see the Creeds come down this road in their vehicle right here. And over to the left is the house, but you're going to see them turn in right here in this driveway, pulling right there. And if you remember what the bumper sticker says on the back of the car, have you hugged your MD today? When they all get out of the car, you're going to see Ellie get out and do a little cartwheel, and you're going to see that window in the background, window right there in the center of your screen, that lower one that's kind of on the right part of the wood. She'll do that cartwheel, and she'll take off down here, right about to the left of that flagpole is a tree with a tire swing on it. Well, at least there was. So the tree was right about there in the center of your screen. Now, the story behind that tree, the production team, they were looking for a house with a tree. Basically a tree where they can put a tire swing. So they didn't have one here. So they ended up digging up a tree from a field, planted it in the yard, and that's what you see in the film. Now, the owners of the house liked the tree so much they ended up keeping it there, but it died a few years later, unfortunately. And then after that happened, they just ended up having it removed.
Mommy, Dad, come on, let's go! We're coming!
What's that? Let's get on with it.
Yay!
So right about here, you're going to see church sitting. The camera kind of pans up to here. You're going to see everyone coming down the path. Judd's taking them to the old Pet Sematary. Now here's a little fun fact. The path that started at the yard's edge leading to the cemetery, obviously all constructed for the film. The path led right there to the start of the woods. And if you kept going back into the woods, all that's back there is a little creek. So, but after this, we're going to take you to all the different locations that led to the Pet Sematary and the Micmac burial ground. That is spread out pretty far from each other. So, movie magic right there. I just got to say this. You may hear me say this a lot. I just can't believe that I'm standing here. Elizabeth's here, but she's over guarding the car. We had to park down the street. There's not really a lot of parking. Since this is a pretty busy street, and they don't want you parking in front of the houses, so we had to park a little ways down there. But again, I can't believe I'm standing here in front of the Creed house from Pet Sematary. Someone actually lives there, so if you're ever out here doing filming, just stay on the road, stay off of it, private property, you know the routine. But there it is right behind me. Now, directly across the street from the Creed house, that's Judd's house. Now you're gonna notice it looks a little bit different than it does in the film. It's a little yellow house that's sitting right there, but in the film, it looks a little more Victorian, a little old, I guess. It's a good way of putting it. Well, that whole thing was a facade. It was built around this house right here because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie, too bad, because at the end, Judd's house ends up burning down. So that whole facade burnt down, and they did that so they wouldn't damage the actual house that was right there. But one indicator that you know this is the right place, you see that 2-car garage? You could see that right behind Judd.
No, you don't, my friend. Not in that road.
Now, if you didn't know this about Pet Sematary, Stephen King was quoted as saying it's one of the scariest books he's ever written. We just rewatched the movie a few days ago. It's been a while since I've seen it from beginning to end, and that one scene still always gets me, where Gage runs out in front of the Mack truck on the busy road. Well, unfortunately, that scene happened right about here. You're going to see them all out having a picnic. You're going to see that body of water right there behind them. It's right here to the right of the house. But yeah, you'll see Gage is flying his kite. Well, uh-oh, he lets go of it, and it kind of floats away and gets away from him, headed out to this road right here. And you see Judd stand up and point to Lewis. Lewis, the road. Well, yeah, unfortunately, Gage ran out into the road. That all happened right here. We've made our way over to Ellsworth, Maine. Right there in front of you, see Ellsworth City Hall. This is what stood in for the hospital where Lewis worked. And we're gonna go up there and line up a shot, maybe 2 shots. Head on up these stairs here. We'll line up a little shot. Right about here, you're gonna see a bunch of students bringing the body of Victor Pascal right up this way, and you can see over to the right. See, those windows are still exactly the same.
See what happened? Got hit by a truck. God! His head.
Deadly! Didn't even stop.
Yeah, he's bringing them right up these steps, and right through those doors. The production dressed up a couple of offices in there to look like doctor's offices. So I don't know, I'm gonna ask and see if I can get a shot inside, so let's go try it. All right, you're gonna see him bring them right up those steps and to the right over there to the right. This is a little secret here, a little fun fact. You're gonna notice a bulletin board, but on there is a little flyer that says rabies and a picture of a St. Bernard. That's a little homage to Cujo. But what you're gonna see right here, you're gonna see Lewis come running out those doors. You see those stairs behind him. Stairs are still here. And he's gonna go right into that room. That was the operating room they took Victor into right there. Like I said, this was all dressed up to look like a hospital, but this is the Ellsworth City Hall. Right here in Ellsworth, Maine. We're right here between an Elks Lodge and a hardware store. But right at the wood's edge is the Pet Sematary. It's a very weird place to put a pet cemetery, but I guess it just had the perfect spot right there. There's a clearing and stuff that we're gonna head to. But yeah, that's where they dressed it up. The Pet Sematary. So let's head inside and see if we can find that spot. Well, here it is, stuck between a hardware store and the Elks Lodge. This is the open space where they dressed it all up as a pet cemetery. It all was right here.
There's the place.
What's it say, Mommy?
It says Pet Cemetery, honey. It's misspelled, but that's what it says. Ellie, wait a minute!
I told you it's a bad road, Lois. It's killed a lot of pets, made a lot of kids unhappy. At least something could come of it. This place. Couldn't plant nothing but corpses here anyway, I guess.
It's a weird spot because right in front of you, you're going to see a blue, that's a water tower right there. I don't know if that probably wasn't here during filming, or if it was, they maybe angled it to where you didn't see it. But yeah, one of the distinct locations was right here where the deadfall was located. You can tell because you're going to see boulders on each side. Let me back up. See those boulders right there on the right, and there's some on the left, and the deadfall was placed right in between them. And you can see them in the shot, the boulders. The deadfall was right there, and that led to the Indian burial ground. Of course, the Indian burial ground is pretty far from here. The whole hike to the Micmac burial ground was filmed in 3 different spots. One of them was Arcadia National Park, which we're not going to bother to go to because that scene where just walking up a trail is unrecognizable now. You can't see the tree roots anymore. It's pretty much all dug up, and they've put like a wooden path now that goes up through there, so there's really no point. But also, it was filmed at the quarry. There's a place called Allen's Quarry, which we're going to go visit. And last but not least, the Micmac burial ground itself. So all these locations just to get to the burial ground, they're at least about 45-50 minutes from each other. So it's a lot of filming, or actually a lot of locations just to get to the burial ground. And it looks like it's no problem for Judd and Lewis because, you know, it takes them like 5 minutes to get there, but driving all around, it's a good 45 minutes or so. This is where Judd tells Ellie, it's a place where the dead speak. And he said that here.
It's a place where the dead speak.
Yeah, this is it. Literally between a hardware store and the Elks Lodge. It's amazing. All right. We're gonna go head over to the quarry now and show you where Judd and Lewis began hiking to the Micmac burial ground. We're out here at Allen's Quarry, out here in Maine. You can see the harbor out there. But we're here for one reason. We're still on the track to the Micmac burial ground. This is one of the paths Lewis and Judd take. See that rock formation right there? You're going to see that right behind Lewis when he's talking to Judd, who's standing up on a ledge. Now, we can't get down any further, unfortunately. The way to get down there is on private property, and people are not home. So this is about as good as we're going to get right here. But you see that ledge right there in the center of your screen? Has those little nicks on it. That's where you're going to see Judd and Lewis come around that corner right there. And again, that's that rock formation you're going to see over Lewis's shoulder as he's talking to Judd. And as they move along to the Micmac burial ground. And that's where we're finally going to head to next. Well, we finally made it. We're up here. The Micmac burial ground. It's the Indian burial site. Judd and Lewis came up to bury church.
But sometimes that is better.
It all started right here. And look at this. The last destination we were at, the rock quarry, 45 minutes from here. But movie magic just made it look like one continuous hike. That is not the case. These locations are kind of scattered throughout Maine, but it's worth it. And I'll be dang if this burial site still doesn't look like a burial site. I mean, look, you're going to see rocks still gathered in piles. Now, in the movie, they painted a bunch of rocks and sat them up here. They painted them white and sat them in the, You're going to see them in this overhead shot when they do it of the burial ground. You're going to see that shape, that circular shape. Now, a lot of these rocks could also have been in the movie as well. I mean, they're rocks. They last quite a while. But let's go. Sorry, we're still out of breath. It's a heck of a hike to get here. It's about half a mile from the road, and it's all like a pretty much a rocky path up here, but well worth it. Not to mention, it is beautiful. So let's go line up a couple shots. When we first see Judd and Lewis come onto the burial ground for the first time, they come around to the left. Big boulder right there you see in front of us.
What is this place?
This was their burial ground.
Whose burial ground?
Micmac Indians.
And it's also about right in this area here where Judd hands Lewis the shovel. He tells him each has got to bury their own.
Soil's thin, but you'll manage. I'm gonna sit over yonder and have a smoke. I'd help you, but you gotta do it yourself. Each buries his own.
He does it right here. And based on the grounds of this area, it's solid concrete, so it's not going to be easy to bust through if you're planning on coming up here to bury anything. Good luck. While Lewis is over there digging, getting ready to bury Church, Judd has a little smoke about right here. And you can see over Judd's shoulder, you see that little body of water right in the back, kind of sort of in the center of your screen. You can see that right behind him where he's having that little smoke, and he kind of glances back to see how Lewis's progression's going. Yeah, it all happened right here. Look at that, you can see Liz off in the distance there thinking about, hey, is Gage really under these rocks? Is Lewis's wife really there? I know she's thinking about it. So we're about to get out of here for something comes up. But I want to give one last little panoramic view of the
Place for the dead. Speak.
Micmac burial ground out here. Just so pretty. Pretty. All right, we're about to Micmac our way right on out of here and head to our next destination. Made our way over here to Mount Hope Cemetery. It's right here in Bangor. That's a pretty good size, but thankfully we came in at the right side and were able to find one of the or a couple pivotal locations that we need right here. But just wanted to kind of give you guys another panoramic view of Mount Hope. Right about here, you see over to the left, it says Tebbets. So when we first get to this cemetery, you're going to get this view. Looking down onto Missy's funeral, that's where Stephen King's conducting the services. But you're going to notice a few monuments down there, a few of the markers that match up to this day. I'll point those out for you. But yeah, that's it right here. So we're going to go down and match some of these locations up. All right, coming down from the top of that hill, this is where Stephen King was presiding over Missy's funeral. Right about here in the center of your screen. Over her shoulder, you can see that little, well, not little, but that marker with the flat top on it. And if you back it up, you'll be able to see over to the right, you see that tall marker with that oval shape thing on it, looks like a missile. Yeah, you can see that too in the shot.
And now, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and comfort you and lift you up and give you peace. Amen.
But yeah, this is where it happened, right here. And then give or take, it's right about this angle that the service is over. You're going to see Lewis and Judd talking. And you see those three markers that are in a row right there? Yeah, you'll see those right behind Lewis. as they're chatting it up. Camera then switches over to Lewis, and you're going to see him right there. You see those stairs behind him? And you're going to see that real tall marker on the left-hand side. Right about there. This is where it all went down right after Missy's funeral. And give or take, right about this angle, we come back to Mount Hope later on in the film. That's where Lewis is coming back to dig up Gage to take him to the Micmac burial ground. But yeah, he'll see that road right out there where that bicyclist is going by. That's where Lewis parks, hops that fence. Lewis walks in between, down that walkway right here, coming up towards us. And you can see some of those markers right there in the scene. And you're going to see Lewis pass this marker really quickly. It says 1869 and has that flower. He's going to walk straight up that way towards that real tall, long marker right about the middle of your screen. And it's right about this angle right here where Gage's headstone was. Obviously, that was just a prop for the movie. He wasn't really killed in the making of this film. But you'll see that tall marker over to the left. You'll see that in the scene as well. It's right about here that Lewis sees the ghost of Victor Pascal standing right by that marker that says Thomas C. Ferris on it. That's when Pascal says the ground is sour.
Remember, Doc, the barrier was not meant to be crossed. The ground is sour.
But that didn't faze Lewis whatsoever. Dug up his son, took him to the Micmac burial ground. Well, we all know what happens from there. All right, folks, that does it from Mount Hope Cemetery. I figured this would be a good place to end this, because why not? It's right here in Bangor, so I got my nice shirt on, my Stephen King shirt. So as much as a pain in the ass it was to get to some of those locations, we had a great time. Elizabeth had a great time. So that's it from Bangor. We'll see you next time.
Sometimes that is better.